you repeat your question?
Yeah, because you mentioned a lot about the soft power of the president. You also mentioned about the constitutional power of the president. Can you share more on your ability to maybe do that too?
You are asking me to comment on whether I'm able to safeguard the reserves. What will I be doing to safeguard the reserves? I've stated that many times. That first I have the experience of managing large funds. I grew the assets of NTUC income 600 times in 30 years, from 28 million to 17 billion. During this journey, I encounter many cycles of ups and downs in the global economy. And I pursue a policy which is to invest the funds prudently and for the long term. This means that when the global economy is down, it is a short-term situation, it will recover. If you pursue a prudent policy and do not take excessive speculation, we will be all right. And this will be a matter I think is very important for the management of our reserves. I received some signals somewhere, I will not elaborate, that setting the investment policy of the sovereign wealth fund is not the duty of the president. I disagree. It is a fundamental duty. If I'm in charge, I will want to make sure that the investment policies of the past reserves are carried out prudently and properly. So therefore, I have the experience and I know what needs to be done. They may be different from what is being done now, but it is a separate matter.
Sorry, apart from the reserve, right, the president also represents Singapore as a global stage. So how do people represent Singapore as a global stage?
The president is not a politician. The politician that decides international foreign policy is the finance minister and the prime minister. He's not the president should not interfere. But the president can represent the interests of Singapore. And the interest of Singapore, as I've stated earlier, the interest of Singapore is to promote international cooperation, international trade, international peace, and to be friendly with neighboring countries, with the major powers, and with all other countries that are important to Singapore. I have no confidence, I have every confidence. I know what the priorities are as the president to represent Singapore internationally. And these are my views, what the president should do. They may be different from my opponents, they are welcome to their opinion. And I'll tell the people of Singapore, whether you want a president that look after the interests of Singapore in these areas, which are also the same policies of the government. There's no doubt about that. But I will not interfere in what the government has to do. But these are the policies I think the Singapore government already pursued, and I will pursue them vigorously. In many countries around the world, they have a king, a queen, or a sultan. These people are referred to as the monarch. And the monarch meets with the prime minister regularly. And the monarch conveys to the prime minister the feelings, the aspirations of the people. If the people are suffering, the monarch tells the prime minister, the people are suffering. If the people are suffering due to high GST, the monarch tells the president, your high GST is causing a lot of hardship. The decision is still with the Prime Minister or the Finance Minister. But the monarch's duty is to convey the aspirations and feelings of the people. And that will be the similar role that I will play. I may not be the monarch, but if I'm elected by 1 million people, majority in this election, I will play that role. And that's the role of the monarch, to convey to the government the feeling and the aspirations of the people. And I ask the people of Singapore, especially the young people, you have 50, 60 years ahead of you. What kind of future do you want? If you want a better future, take this opportunity to elect someone who will make the change so that you can afford, you can feel confident of the future, and you can raise a family, and you know that the environment will be good for your children. That is my message to the people of Singapore.
So Mr. Tan, you said you are not a monarch, but are you equating the presidency as a monarchy?
You are obviously quite intelligent, and you will know the president in Singapore is elected by popular mandate of the people. But after being elected, he has to do the duty similar to, I think, the monarch. This has been practiced in many countries and quite well. We know that in some countries there were political upheaval, and the monarch has come in to play that role. I do not consider myself as a monarch. My father is not a king. I am not a king, and my children will not be the king. We will play the role on the mandate of the people.
You said earlier that you wanted to have conversations with the Prime Minister, with his ministers, the government. How do you think this will look like?
I heard that the Prime Minister meet with the President regularly. I heard that it might be weekly, but it could be once in 2 weeks. I also heard that the President meet with the ministers regularly. I do not know the exact details, but I do hope that this will be very good arrangement. If it's not there, I will invite them. But if it's already there, it will be quite a good arrangement because we're carrying on something that's going on quite well. And I will convey to the Prime Minister and to the ministers the aspirations and feelings of the people. And I want to gather the aspirations and feelings through the 7 channels, so that the Prime Minister can gather through his current channel, but I will gather through another channel so we can compare our notes. That is what I intend to do. I will not answer that question. I've answered that many times already. So you please read what I have written.
So I'm looking at your work applications, most of them are good centers, but you said you want to do the young population as well. Is your strategy going to be in that sense?
Yes. I'm arranging a visit to a university, but that's not enough. I've attended 4 podcasts, 3 or 4 podcasts, 1.5 hours of podcast. Please follow those podcasts. They are excellent podcasts, and they reach out to young people. And the podcasts are very well done. I congratulate our young people who set up a social media company. I attended their podcast. Each time is for 2 hours. I've done, I think, 4 by now. In spite of this very hectic schedule, I've done 4, and when I saw what they have done, I think they did an excellent job to convey honestly, without unfair censorship what I say. In fact, they were quite kind in editing to remove the parts that I might have spoken wrongly. So instead of making that worse, they actually presented a great piece of work. I was quite impressed who that person's talking was. That's me. I believe that many young people, when they watch that podcast, they will get my message and they will find that despite of our age difference, younger people are 25 to 75, they will find that I'm quite close to the aspirations of the younger people.
And previously you shared that you have a plan on Friday. Can you share more about it?
The rally plan of Friday will be modified. I think we might hold this next Thursday before COVID because the time is now too short. And the other problem we face is the stadium is very costly, and the police permit take several days. I don't know it, and I was told it takes several days to get approval. There are many logistics problems. So therefore, I decided to shelve this next Thursday.
Can you share more details on where
I can't. It's not fixed yet.
Also, so Mr. Taman's posters over your team. When are you putting up?
My team have put up a lot of posters. Maybe it will be half of Mr. Taman, but for every two of Taman, you will see one of Tan Kin Lian, and many people will come and say, Tan Kin Lian looks better. Okay, so I hope that they will also notice the posters.
I saw that you chose Hougang as the first place to put your campaign poster. Is there a reason why you chose it?
This is the responsibility and thinking of the person responsible to manage the posters. So I trust that he's done a good job. Okay, thank you all. I'm now going to do my walkabout.